mysterious death curse washes over the land, driven by a powerful artifact known as the Soulmonger. 4 would-be heroes have been sent to the jungles of Chult to destroy the cause of this terrible affliction. Vale, the half-elven paladin, who's just now learning of his divinely granted powers. Ubo, the total monk from a distant land, who's as quick with his wit as he is with his staff. Brilinya, Aasimar warlock, sent on this quest by her temple, discovering herself in this strange new land. And Gunslinger Cole, tiefling artificer and archaeologist who may just dig up more than she bargained for. This motley band of adventurers must work together to brave the poisonous plants, venomous monsters, thundering dinosaurs, and rotting undead of the jungle. Join the omnipotent dungeon master Jake for mini-terrain domain to see if our heroes can find the Soulmonger, uncover the deeper mysteries of Chult, and free the world from the death curse. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to Chult of Personality.
Hey, internets. Oh, excuse me. Let's try that again. Hey, internets. It's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is episode 59 of Chult of Personality in our Tomb of Annihilation campaign that has been going on for over 2 years. And this episode is called Chambers of Horror. We are very excited or very thankful to What You Looking At, who was our first ever subscriber and who just resubscribed for 24 months in a row. So pretty much since the beginning, What You Looking At has been there with us. So that's going to actually bump you guys up to 11 domain dice. I'm going to fix that right now. Turn that one off. And don't worry about those ones disappearing. Yeah. Anybody who resubscribes will, or we get raids, $5 donations, 500 bit cheers. We'll earn domain dice or domain devils for the players here. Down in the bottom scroll, we've got some information about that scrolls by, or we can type domain dice, and you can see how you can contribute to the stream. I have a feeling they're going to be needing some of these domain dice. They've come in handy quite a few times. So they're at least 11 of them are currently there for you. By way of announcements, there's the domain dice. Huge shout out to D&D Beyond, of course, for granting us insider access and powering the stream. I use D&D Beyond to run all of my D&D campaigns. I've got multiple tabs open to track the dungeon maps and the descriptions. I can simply pop up for traps, spells, monsters. It's a full compendium, so I can grab stuff, keep up with what spells and everything the players are using. It's awesome. So thank you to D&D Beyond for that. If you check out under Megan's window there, you'll see the Jasper's Game Day and Initiative Coffee Company links. If you type !Jasper in the chat, that will bring up a direct link where you can donate to Jasper's Game Day. Jasper's Game Day is a local organization that is dedicated to raising awareness of an elimination of suicide through tabletop gaming. And I'm very pleased to have Mini Terrain Domain be partnered with them. Your donation goes to help fund crisis centers around the country. Another way that you can donate is to purchase a 12-ounce bag of Metade roast coffee. It is a medium Brazilian and Peruvian roast that we partnered with Initiative Coffee Company's Help Action. And I hand selected the roast along with a couple friends. Very delicious coffee. and $3 of your purchase goes directly to benefit Jasper's Game Day. There's a link there so that you can purchase your coffee. Speaking of purchasing things, if you want to show your support for the channel, the various streams and games that we have, we've got a variety of t-shirts, sweatshirts, and other items that are available. That is not the right... Oh, there it is. It went up above. The link to the Teespring store where you can get awesome t-shirts and sweatshirts. I'm not wearing it right now because it's kind of warm out here, but you can get something like this. The Bardic College Be Inspired design, or Chult of Personality, Legends and Legacies, All That Glitters Waterdeep Dragon Heist alliteration. And of course we've got our Dawnbringers and our Critical Ham or Die shirts. So head on over there to check that out. The last thing I want to talk about is just give you your pre-game reminder that you matter. You are important and you are loved, and your presence in this world makes a difference whether you believe that or not. You hear a lot about suicide awareness and prevention, mental health support from Mini Terrain Domain. We are excuse me, we are advocates for mental health and seeking professional help when you need it, which is why at any time during Mini Terrain Domain game streams, you can simply type !help in the chat, and some phone numbers and a link will pop up. Also on the scroll down at the bottom of the screen, that's going to show up as well. Just know that there is help available to you. In the United States, you can call the National Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or you can text 741-741. In Canada, you can reach the crisis text line by texting CONNECT for English or PARLER for French to 686-868. Or you can call the Canada Suicide Prevention Services, either in French or English, toll-free, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at 1-833-456-4566. If you are one of our friends who does not live in the United States or Canada, you can click the link there and go to opencounseling.com/suicide-hotlines. And there is a whole list of lifelines available to you from countries all over the world. There are various text lines and hotlines. Encourage you to utilize those services if you even think that you might need that. So remember that. All right. I think we're ready to play some Dungeons and Dragons, some Tomb of Annihilation. These adventurers have so far made it through the jungles of Chult, surviving a couple trips into the city of Port Nyanzaru, made it through the jungles, made it through the lost city of Omu, survived the Yuan-Ti nightmare speakers at the Fane of Dendar, the Night Serpent. They made it into the actual tomb of the 9 gods after braving and figuring out the puzzles to achieve the keys. Some of them facing personal real-life demons in the form of former torturers and former mentors. Some have lost best friends. Some have lost entire former parties. But they have all made it to the tomb of the 9 gods, and they have traveled through pretty much every perilous trap, every monstrous encounter, narrowly escaping with their life at turn after turn, relying on their wits and their bravery and blind luck in some cases. They have found themselves recently facing a just deranged beholder that ultimately proved to be not too much trouble for them, though Taliel nearly paid with her life at the hands of a disintegration ray. They are being rewarded for their perseverance, their sheer strength of will in growing abilities and growing powers. For only the second time since they've entered the tomb, they have managed to find themselves a little bit of respite, and they find themselves able to take a long rest. 3 of our adventuring party is currently co-piloted by spirits of the 9 trickster gods. Vale is currently playing host to Obalaka, who is a bit of a handful. Obalaka is a very nervous and obsessive. And Obalaka, remind me, I forget which one Obalaka is. Obalaka was the... what was the creature that Obalaka was? Anybody?
I knew this. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Is it the Eebly? No, I can't be right.
No.
I thought it was some sort of monkey.
No, it's a Zorbo.
Oh, it's a Zorbo. Yes, that's what it was. Because Wongo's the Sioux monster.
Yeah.
Okay, so Obalaka is the I just lost it again. What did we say?
Zorbo.
Zorbo. Okay, and the Zorbos are the ones that are they look like almost like demonic koala bears.
Oh.
Taliel has recently been playing host to Kubazan, the Frogamoth. And Brilinya willingly allowed the El Mirage, which is a sort of unicorn giant bunny, spirit of Ijin, to inhabit her. Qualu, though not directly possessed, and though Yak is truly Taliel's sidekick, it's the closest thing Qualu has to a spirit of an old Omuan that he can hear, though everybody can hear. Yak is the golden disembodied skull of a former court jester who is now bound to the party and craves gemstones, devouring them until they vanish. After your fight with the Beholder and some close calls on your way there, you find respite. The first question I have for you is, would you have taken rest in the Beholder's chamber, or would you have made your way over to that room you discovered, Brilinya, the small room that appeared that it was undiscovered and safe?
If we went into that little crawl space room.
Okay.
The architect's hideout is, I believe, what we decided.
Yeah, I think that's what Brilinya would favor as well.
So, you've all managed to cram yourself into, well, I mean, there's only 4 of you, but it's still relatively tight. You're basically in a 10-foot by 10-foot by 10-foot cube with 2 small crawl spaces, one of which goes to a long chamber with a deep pit in it. The other one goes to the water trap room. Would you set up some kind of watch, or would you all just collapse into sleep?
I mean, I think that we would organize maybe some kind of a watch, but I wouldn't say like a very rigid every hour.
I believe also Brilinya doesn't sleep.
Oh, yes.
And also Taliel
No,
only
not
needs-
anymore.
Oh.
No, she
finally cured her insomnia.
She finally cured her insomnia.
Well, Taliel only needs 4 hours, so for the rest of it, she'd be up and about.
Paulu needs 16 hours.
So,
Believable.
is anybody going to attempt to stay up beyond their minimum requirements, or just for any length of time? Taliel, you said you would stay up for a couple of the hours.
Yeah, I'll stay up for everything but 4 of the hours. Right
Okay.
now.
Brilinya, make me a constitution check real quick.
That's 15.
Having given up the ability that was allowing you to go without sleep, you feel the weariness hit you almost immediately as this sort of willing transition takes place. And despite any efforts to the contrary, you fall into a deep sleep. At some point, all of you find yourself dreaming. You are awakened on what is very reminiscent of the floor of the Beholder's Lair before the giant stone collapsed. As far as the eye can see in any direction, you see a smooth, black, glass-like surface. You see nothing anywhere except for your own reflection in this polished surface. And each other. The 4 of you are all in this dreamscape together. In the far distance on the horizon, you see a thin line of green and a sudden burst as a green-tinged sun begins to rise off in the distance. You see silhouetted forms begin to move towards you. Rapidly, very quickly, you realize that the first form that you see is a familiar looking woman, now bent over with almost seeming impossible age. Looks like she's barely clinging to life. And you realize as she's growing closer to you, Sindra Sylvain, your patron who hired you from Baldur's Gate to seek out the cause of the death curse. As she grows closer to you, you watch as her skin turns to parchment, peels away, her skeleton still stands, and as it passes by you, it collapses into bone. You watch the figure of Artist Cimber and his Sariel companion, Dragonbait, begin moving towards you. They're standing back to back. The wreckage of an airship nearby. You see them surrounded by zombies, fighting. Artist holding a dagger in one hand, a magical ring on his other hand, blasting at zombies that seem to move into the in from the periphery. Dragonbait wielding his massive Holy Avenger sword, cutting away. But as they pass by you, you watch as they are overcome by the zombie horde. You even see the 3 hag sisters that were companions to them, moving lost, not sure of where they are, creeping through the jungles. You see only the silhouette of a familiar figure that passes by you with his back to you, so you can only see his massive turtle shell. And he seems to be distant as he passes by, moving away from you. You swear for a moment that he glances over his shoulder at you and turns away. You see a familiar Chultan man, dark-skinned, holding on to the hand of a little girl. Qualu, you recognize your best friend, and the rest of you, your former companion in Dunala and his daughter. And you watch as Dunala is suddenly ripped away from his daughter. She turns, silently screaming toward him, and you watch as he seems to dissolve into a mist of shadow. And as she passes by, very close to you, Qualu, hand reaching out, you involuntarily reach out, and for a moment you almost swear you can feel her fingertips, and before she's gone. You see the Fort Beluarian and the inhabitants of the fort. You begin to see rapidly many other people, the frost giants, the flaming fist, everybody you've encountered previously since you've been here, rapidly moving past you. And then you begin to realize that the where the sun is, it's not just a sun that is rising. What you see is the excuse me, you see the shape of a skull and some sort of a crown, and you realize that the sun that is rising seems to be some sort of undead creature regaled in robes and a crown, carrying a massive staff. And you are certain that this smiling undead figure staring down at you is a Sararak himself. And in his arms you suddenly notice that he is cradling a baby of incredible size relative to your own size. Trailing from this infant in his arms are tentacles that writhe and wrap around his Sararak's arms, his waist, and begin to thread their way along through until they are grasping at figures, many of whom have passed by you. You watch as Dunala's form, partially reconstituted, is wrapped by a tentacle and drawn towards this infant. You see a familiar tiefling woman pass by you, Brilinya, as Gunslinger Cole, your sister, is wrapped in one of these tentacles. Taliel, you see many of your former companions of the company of the Yellow Banner, your former adventuring party, go passing by you. Whoops. Sorry about that. I think I just made some kind of error sound go through. You watch as the wizard whose staff you now carry, Qualu, Devlin, goes passing by, his body falling, tentacles grasping at him. You watch as I've been trying to stall this whole time because I can't find the names of the company of Yellow Banner. But you see these various members of your party, the paladin and the wizard and the dwarf that you saw in the one room with the tiled floor. Every one of them that you see, Taliel, is pulled towards you and past you, wrapped in these tentacles of this now growing infant held in these astronomically sized arms of a Sararak. This infant child, it grows bigger and more hideous, gorging itself on the souls as you see hundreds and thousands of Chultans and tendrils reaching out north of Chult, stretching across the sea, reaching up into Kalimshan, up through Daggerford and Baldur's Gate, stretching into Waterdeep and Neverwinter, to the far cold north to Luskan, out into the Shivering Isles on the Sea of Swords, and stretching further east into lands unknown throughout the realms. Thousands, tens of thousands of souls being pulled towards what you know to be the Soulmonger. And you all see as 4 tentacles, not yet claiming any souls, are writhing towards you and begin to wend their way up your legs, and you feel the grip tightening as these tendrils threaten to pull your very spirit, your very soul from your body. And all of you wake up. Looking around the room, you see each other. Taliel, you may have actually already had your trance, had your rest period, and somehow you drifted into this state. The 4 of you just realize you're looking around each other. As you wake up, it's almost like the only transition was that you're no longer in this dream state, but you still feel your bodies. You swear you can feel the tendrils of the Soulmonger wrapping around you. And one feeling persists in all of you. And that is this sensation. You didn't notice it during this dream, but you hear it in the waning moments of that transition. The ticking of a clock. What would you like to do?
I think getting up, probably try and stretch, but just so much weight is on my mind. Probably turn and look at the others. I think that's enough rest for today. We should probably head down. I don't know about you, but dreams, unsettling dreams. I think I'd rather sleep again for a little while.
Brilinya just nods, and it was good, though, to get as much sleep as we did. But I agree, I have a feeling that we won't get a respite like this for a long while yet.
Push on as best we can. We must not fail.
Taliel, next to you, you see the floating skull of Yak, who's been uncharacteristically quiet. And he just sort of hovers slightly into your periphery until you notice him, and turns towards you and just says, in a, again, uncharacteristically quiet voice, "Who is, Lord Brixton?" Right before you woke up, you called out his name. You were reaching.
I think as soon as Yak starts talking, her head would just like snap towards him. Still kind of coming out of this dream state. Lord Brixton. Oh. He was, well, I would call him the leader of my last group. He was the one who held us all together and gathered us, and I don't want to think about it right now. Yak, I can't.
For what it's worth, based on what I've learned being with all of you now for several hours, not many of your friends survived. But you have. So I guess that's something, yeah?
Yeah. Maybe we're lucky. I don't know. I don't feel very lucky right now. And I think she would stand up kind of abruptly and kind of do a quick wipe of the face, making sure, nobody sees anything. All right. I think we should go.
As you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just think that Brilinya would, because I feel like we're in a small enough space that kind of hear things. But Brilinya would put a hand, would come up behind Taliel, just put a hand on her shoulder very gently, and just, I am deeply sorry for your loss of friends and family. We have lost people too, and it is the most horrible thing one can imagine. And the thing that keeps me going is the fear that they will end up in the Soulmonger, and the absolute fact that we cannot let that happen. The thing we can do for them now, the best thing, is to let them pass on in peace, blessed by whichever god they believe in.
Yes, you have lost many as well. That was very clear. And you're right. We have to beat the Soulmonger. It is everything.
So, as you begin to press on, you just crawl through the chamber to the north. You emerge in the southern end of that room that you had to pass through with the magical waterfall. Traveled on a short purple fungus hallway, though you notice that the purple fungus is turning brown and no eyeballs peer out to watch you. To a short hallway to the north, and you find yourself at the top of the stairs leading down in that grand staircase. As you are moving out of the room, there's just a moment, maybe whoever's last might hear this. Yak, the floating skull, is left for just a moment alone in the room, and he says, "What the nine hells is a soulmonger?" Before he follows you all along. So, who is down the stairs first?
Take the lead.
Vale and Taliel.
Taliel's just like, nope.
Taliel just shoulders past. Vale's like, I'll take points.
Probably.
Taliel just wordlessly shoulders past.
Right, well, you go ahead then.
Taliel, then Vale. Then Brilinya, followed by Qualu.
Qualu will cover the rear, I guess.
As you head down the stairs, you notice that this grand staircase that you've been descending, growing closer to the bottom, you look to your right, Taliel, and you see half of this grand staircase circumference is balcony. But on the opposite side to the north of the balcony is a final set of stairs descending to the floor below. You see immediately to your left, there is a about a 30 or so foot hallway, 5 foot wide, with thick cobwebs in it. You see on the west wall of this, the west side of this grand staircase, is a wide 10-foot hallway, similar in placement and size to the one in which you found the chained tomb guardians on the previous level. You notice that on the other side of that wide hallway, on the west wall, there is a familiar-looking brass plaque with some words that you can't quite read. To the east, as you all come down the stairs and you're looking, you see the bottom floor. Well, for a moment you think it's the bottom floor. Then you realize that in the center of the room below is a 10-foot by 10-foot pit, descending down into darkness, leading even further down. The pit is surrounded by 4 giant 4-armed gargoyles on pedestals. You hear, coming out of the shaft between them, you hear this in distant clanking, a sound of distant rumbling machinery. Each of these 10-foot tall, or excuse me, each of these 4-armed gargoyles is standing on a 10-foot tall, 5-foot wide platform. In the sides of some of them, you can't see from the other angle, but on this couple of them, you can see that there is a slot in the side of the pedestal. Looking at them, starting with the northernmost pedestal, you see that each gargoyle is standing on a platform made of metallic tiles embedded in the top of that pillar. The northernmost one is made of copper, and then going clockwise, silver. The south one is gold, and the west one is platinum. Looking to the east, you see another 10-foot wide hallway directly opposite, though it is down on this lower level, that extends about 40 or 50 feet. Has one offshoot. You can see a green open-mouthed devil face that you have now become extremely familiar with. What would you like to do?
I think Taliel, without even hesitating, would stride towards the plaque on the wall.
Yeah, Brilinya is right behind you. She's already taking out her little stubby piece of coal and Cole's journal.
I'm probably going to stand by the hallway and kind of assume a defensive posture in case something does come down that thing to while they're working.
And Cole will stand very pensively as he also reads these clues, but of course, he's not nearly as discerning as the other two.
The clues that you read are the following, and I will, as usual, paste them in the chat. The first line: death to fire, dine or drown, precious air and falling sand. The next line: the army sleeps in silence. The next line: the mirror holds 12. The next line: find the iron scepter's twin. And the last line: the maze holds the key. And I've posted that into our side chat now. So you can go down one more level, partial level, to the gargoyles in the floor. You have the narrow passage to the south that Vale took up. Vale, did you take up posture at that one or at the wide one near the plaque?
Oh, at the wide one near the plaque.
Okay.
I didn't want something to come rushing out there.
Okay. And then there's you'd have to go down the stairs to the gargoyle floor. One other thing that you would see looking down there is the broken bones and the head of the skeleton key that you kicked over the banister from the second floor. And that one is the one with the square head. Dunala was carrying one with a triangle. that you lost down that shaft. This one is the square-headed one, just lying there, and you recently acquired a pentagon-shaped one. Vale, as you are standing watch at that hall, you see a hall that is about 50 feet or so long, at the end of which you see a door. You can just make out this door at the far end that is looks to be a stone door, and there seems to be a couple of bronze shapes to the right and to the left. Very thin, low profile, but sticking out into the hall. But at this distance, it's hard to really tell what they are. But about just a little bit more than halfway down that passageway, you see another passage, narrow, 5 foot wide, leading to the north. What would you like to do?
Should we go down this way first, or the other one? And she points down the balcony.
Well, this seems like a main thoroughfare. The other one is smaller, could be a side chamber. If we get the side chamber out of the way, we could carry on moving forward. But there's still the skeleton, or at least the skeleton key, down at the bottom. I have a feeling, of course I always have a feeling, once we get down there, we're probably going to activate some sort of a trap. And I have a feeling that those 4 gargoyle statues are part of it. But I don't know what you'll want to do about it.
I agree. I do think it is important that we go through all these places. I feel like we're, at least to get the 9 gods trapped here. Perhaps us opening them and interacting with them is a way of setting them free, or will set them. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the right thing to do. Like, yeah, I agree. The side passage might be a better bet first.
But I think before we, perhaps maybe Taliel and Qualu as well. Well, if we look at the side passage first, and then before we go into the main passageway, we can head down, scoop up that key, because we're probably going to need it. I think. I hope. If you're both good with that. Don't know, Qualu, you look very pensive.
That is a interesting word you use. I do not myself resemble a pen.
Oh, I hate you so much right now. You have no idea. Right. Well, I'll take your awful pun as a yeah. Don't worry about it. Right. Well, let's go then. Taliel, if you've got any other idea.
No, I'm with you on this one. I want to do this, I guess, half floor first, I think. Let's start with the side chamber. It seems when we do it methodically, we can pinpoint which clues go to which, and we've had better success than just dashing around.
Good idea. Well, if you'd like to lead the way, I'll not get in front of you this time.
Smart. You are weak. I am strong. And she'll go down the side passage.
Taliel, in your mind, you just hear Kubazan go. So you're going down the 10-foot passage that you're standing next to, just so I'm understanding you? Or the one that was to the south at the bottom of the stairs? Megan seems to think the one at the bottom of the stairs, the southward facing 5 foot wide side passage. Is that what everybody else is thinking?
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Not the one right beside the plaque, but the other one. There was another one that was still on this level. Is that right?
Yep. One to the south at the bottom of the stairs, and the 10 foot wide one next to the plaque.
Yes.
Yeah, the smaller one, 10
Okay.
10 foot one. Yeah.
Perfect. I just need to be very clear of which direction you're going. Okay. Taliel in the lead. You head down this passageway. It is the narrower passage. You find yourself having to brush away thick cobwebs. Nobody has passed this way in a long time, it looks like. Not even the tomb dwarves. After about 30 feet or so, you come to a T-junction. Looking to your right, to the west, you see more thick cobwebs. But after only about 25 feet, you can just make out a faint glow coming from a slightly larger room. To your left, to the east, you see that the hall goes on for about 60 to 70 feet and ends in a stone door of some kind. There's etching on the door, but at this distance, your dark vision doesn't quite penetrate. Which way would you like to go? To the west or to the east?
Taliel would turn towards the west, the one that had the light coming through it eventually.
All right. You continue moving the 20, 25 feet. Every few feet, you have to move aside curtains of cobwebs. Cobwebs that are so dry and dusty, they don't even cling as you move them aside. They seem to just sort of fall away from the walls. And you move towards this chamber. You find yourself moving into a room that is 15 feet by 15 feet. And as you walk into the room, you see that there are no features in this room whatsoever, except on the west wall, directly opposite where you enter, Taliel. For a moment, you see movement. You see a humanoid figure coming into view. Female, elven, bow at the ready. And you realize it's a mirror. And you see your reflection in the mirror. I need you to make a charisma saving throw at advantage. Actually, I take that back. It's not at advantage. You know what? I'm the DM. I rule it's at advantage for a reason.
Okay, then that is an 18.
You feel for a moment that this mirror carries significance to it. That there's something more to its depths. And then you sort of, and you avert your gaze and you feel that pull go away. What do? Everybody else is behind you in the hallway.
Taliel will stop and turn around so that she's facing Brilinya now. Okay, that was just odd. There's a mirror in there, and it has some sort of pull to it. It's not a normal mirror. What was that thing the plaque said? That the mirror holds 12?
Yes, the mirror holds 12. But 12 what?
I don't know. And frankly, that mirror, it is not normal. We can just say that it is.
The mirror,
there's some magic's going on.
The mirror is very ornate, and it is about 4 feet tall, about maybe 2.5 feet wide, trimmed in gold filigree all around it. There are gems all around it. It is very out of place in this particular location. It looks like it would be more at home on the wall in a palace than here in this dungeon.
Yak, do you see the mirror in that room?
Yes, I can see the mirror in that room. I'm not blind, you know. I don't have any eyeballs, but I can see.
Could you perhaps go closer to it, and tell me what it looks like up close? And I believe there's gems inlaid in it. So
the skull cocks slightly at you in a gesture that seems to be skeptical. And then he looks again and he says, "Oh, you're not right. There are gems. There are gems there. I wonder, maybe I can pry them out with my teeth. They look to be quite expensive."
You should try.
I have to check something real quick. Okay. You know what? You stay here, all of you. I will check this out for you. Yak will be back. And he floats forward towards the mirror.
Be careful.
And he starts to turn to say, yeah. And then he stops. And he looks into the mirror. And you know, I don't know if those gemstones are... Yak is sucked into the mirror and vanishes.
Taliel would immediately yell, Yak! Yak, can you hear us?
No response.
He's gone.
Do you think it means that the mirror holds 12
souls?
12 souls? Maybe. That could mean, though, that there might be other people trapped in there. What if there are?
And maybe we could get them out, are you thinking?
Well, we could do it. We could figure this out.
What if we just broke it? Or do you think that would trap them there forever?
That's a possibility that we have to consider.
Maybe if you break the mirror, then I can have those gemstones, says Yak, who is suddenly at your shoulder, Taliel.
Whoa! What did you see in there?
What? Oh, in the mirror?
Yeah.
Oh, that was weird. For a moment, I felt it trying to grasp at me and pull me in, and I got sucked into what, it looked like an unending void of blackness and fog. And I could see as far as anything. Well, I could only see about 20 feet because of the fog. But I floated around for a while, and in every direction I called out for you, and there was no answer. And all of a sudden I was here.
Did you see anyone else in there?
I don't know if that's how that works. I mean, maybe there were others in there, but maybe they are not always in the same place.
How long were you gone? How long did you feel like you were gone?
I was only gone for a few moments.
Okay.
You see, whatever it was, they put this curse on me to make me be like this. He was very adamant that I should never be able to get out of this place. That is why he made me indestructible. And I think because he put such a powerful magic on me, I don't think that thing could hold me. It was very weird. It was like, I want to hold on to you, I want to touch you inappropriately, but I can't. And then I was here. It's been a very long time since I've been touched inappropriately, I'm just saying.
If Taliel had been drinking from her water skin, she would have spit that out at that point.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make it weird. But, yeah, I mean, breaking the mirror, that is a thing you could do. I mean, it looks like it's worth a lot.
Could I make some sort of roll to see if I've ever seen anything like this before? Like, or if I could use my arcana-ness? I don't know, just to try and glean any information.
I will let you make a history check.
Okay. I'm gonna use a different die because I want to figure this out. Okay. That is a 14.
I mean, Brilinya was pretty cloistered at with the Weeping Friars, and has not much experience with things. So yeah, you don't really recognize anything about this.
I feel like breaking the mirror might not be that great.
Not until we find out what it's for, I think.
Has anything ever happened when we broke something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Qualu does not remember this.
Does anybody want to remind him of the multiple times he's broken things?
Qualu sees only good things happen when Qualu breaks things. For Qualu is still alive, and Qualu has broken many things. Ergo, breaking things must be good. Or at least not bad. Qualu thinks about this many times. Qualu thinks a lot.
Is there anything else in this room besides the mirror?
Nope. Anybody else that wanted to could attempt to investigate the mirror. And Brilinya could still attempt to use her arcana-ness to try to discern information about the mirror. If you are going to do so, and you are going to do so without looking at the mirror directly, you will need to make your check at disadvantage.
Yeah, I think actually Taliel would take a piece of cloth, like a leather strip or something, and bind her, put her around her eyes so she can't involuntarily look at the mirror. And then she would go and approach the mirror and try to investigate using just touch.
I saw Megan's spirits get lifted and then immediately dashed when I put that contingency on it.
I rolled a nat 20 before you said disadvantage.
And that nat 20 will stand and give you some information at a cost. You will have to make a saving throw if you do so.
I rolled a nat 1 on my second roll.
So how do you want to do it? Do you want to take the nat one on investigation or
So
arcana, or do you want to have that nat one be your saving throw?
what if she looked at the mirror? And that's how she gets her information, because she actually looks at it, but then has to deal with whatever bad things happen.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Then as Brilinya approaches, you begin to carefully look around the mirror. You're sort of at the edges of it, averting your gaze, and as you are at this sort of oblique angle to it, you are seeing vague shapes moving in the surface of the mirror. Maybe they're the reflections of the others. Maybe they're something else. And you begin looking at it, and there's something as you begin to feel around the edges and look close at the decorations around this. You realize, I've seen a sketch of this. There was a couple of words related to it. And as you turn to say something to the others, they're not there. You find yourself standing surrounded completely by fog. Vale, Taliel, and Qualu, you watch as Brilinya vanishes. She is looking at the mirror, feeling around, preventing looking into it. And she gets so caught up in it. She looks up into the mirror to catch your reflections. And she starts to say something, and then she's just gone. But before we get to that, reaction to that, was anybody else investigating the mirror? Taliel, you were doing so at disadvantage because you covered your eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I probably would have gone, not really gone over, but went to kind of like look at it from a distance. Maybe not like try to like look into the mirror. Maybe just look around the mirror.
I think that Quali was actually probably looking down the other hallway, just making sure there's no gremlins or something that's gonna sneak up on us for the when we look at the mirror too bad. So I think that Quali was surprised most by the lack of Brilinya, because it wasn't quite looking at it when it happened.
Taliel, you realize that just by feeling around this, you're not learning a whole lot about it. And you're reluctant to look into it. And I'm sorry, Vale, were you investigating it as well? Or were you not?
Yeah, I was, but not really looking into the mirror, kind of looking around the mirror.
Okay, so you'll make an Arcana check at disadvantage. What'd you get?
Whatever the thing is, I definitely didn't make it because I got a nat 6, which also sucks because I also got a nat 20 because that's disadvantage for you. You stupid disadvantage.
So, Brilinya, before I say anything to you, because you, as the player, seem to have a bit of possible recollection when I said something. So I'm going to give you a chance. I want to see if Brilinya can piece this together from the information that you've seen a drawing of this before. You've seen 2 words related to this image written somewhere. Do you recall, as a player, when and where that was?
Jeopardy music playing. um,
Give me an insight roll.
I think it has to be when we were in the tomb. 13.
You're trying as you're trapped in this place. You're trying, as you're realizing you're trapped in this place, you're remembering, where did I see that? Where did I see that? And you remember something about an office and books, and you grabbed a couple of spell books. And one of the spell books had something written in it. Did you happen to make a note of what that was? It's been a while, so I'm going to give it to you, but I wanted to give you a chance to piece it together. It was a fairly low DC on that insight. You beat it by 1. So what you find, what you remember, is that in one of the spell books from Withers, that there was a piece of parchment in there with the sketch of this mirror. And the 2 words that were written there, you didn't see them initially as 2 separate words because they looked like it might have been a name. The words were Komara Blackfire. But with that Nat 20 Arcana check, you realize this is a mirror of life trapping. And those words are the words that activate and deactivate it. But you're trapped inside this thing, all alone. You know that Komara activates the mirror. You know, based on the sketches, that Blackfire deactivates the mirror, but you also have to say the name of one of the 12 cells in which somebody is trapped to free them. And you have no idea what cell you are trapped in.
Oh no. Is Brilinya just in absolute darkness?
You look around and you see blackness. You know how I've done this on enough streams, people in the audience may be able to remember this, but I've done a lot of streams where I have this black background and there's billowing smoke that sort of passes through. That is where you are. You are trapped in my green screen background with what looks like massive
Nation.
Vape Nation. How's that go, Vape Nation? That's literally what you see. For about 20 feet in front of you, like dry ice, fog crawls along the ground. And about 20 feet out from you, it's just constantly moving and billowing. While you are figuring out how you're going to use this information, Vale, Taliel, and Qualu, what are you doing as you realize Brilinya has just been sucked into this thing?
I think Taliel's first response to realizing that Brill is gone, it would be to Yak, go in after her, please.
What? You want me to go back into the mirror?
Yeah, and see if she's there.
I mean, it can't hold me.
Yeah, so if you can go in and see her, see if she's okay, and then come back out and let us know.
Okay, I will do this. Only because I know I'm going to come right back. Yak will be back. And he flies up to the mirror. And he says, "Mirror, mirror on the..." And he's gone. Are you guys just waiting for Yak to return with bated breath?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't see her in there. He's suddenly at your shoulder again. All I
Wait,
saw was the fog everywhere.
So you don't go to the same place. That's unfortunate. I think every time though he appears, even though she was expecting him, she still kind of jumps because.
Yeah,
so
you don't hear
unexpected.
any popping sound or anything to indicate that he's there. He's just there. He's just back.
Qualu knows very little about the magics of this place. Qualu's instinct is to smash this thing, to break whatever magics bind, hold her in there.
Well, while I also would just love to smash this thing, I'm afraid that if we do, she'll be gone for good.
Brilinya, enough
Yeah.
time has passed while they're piecing this through and while they waited for Yak. Are you doing anything with this information you have?
Well, I mean, she's going to, she is going to start saying the word. I actually did write it down after. She is going to say Blackfire, which is the word to deactivate it, and it's just going to start saying Blackfire 1, Blackfire 2, which is hopefully the cell numbers, and until she gets to 12 and see which one, because that's all she can think to do.
Okay. You say Blackfire 1. Vale, Taliel, and Qualu. As you are discussing the possibility of breaking this, Vale is just about to say something about you shouldn't, or whatever he was going to say. All of a sudden, you realize there is another figure in the room with you, and it is not Brilinya. It is a very frightened-looking, middle-aged Chultan man who is... Qualu, you speak Chultan, right?
Yeah.
Where am I? How is it that I am here? Who are you? Please don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
And he'll Qualu respond back in Chultan of, don't worry, we mean you no harm. We've rescued you involuntarily.
It cannot be true. It has been so long that I have been in the darkness, in the fog.
You're safe now. You're safe now.
He's reaching up to you. He's with both hands. He's touching and feeling and squeezing your cheeks. Tears are running down his eyes. This cannot be.
I think Qualu will give him a hug.
He is just sobbing. He looks healthy. And he just sort of, for a few moments, just turns into this. He's just sobbing into your arms. Brilinya.
So I do think that Brilinya would wait, because I think that she knows that she's possibly letting out something. So I think she would wait, probably be about a minute.
Okay.
Minute or 2 minutes in between. And she would count in between. 2 minutes. I think.
Sorry, I just saw Karen's message. What are we going to do with all these people? Vale. So, Vale and Taliel, how are you? What's your response? Is this random Omuan person just shows up and is now sobbing into Qualu's bare chest, basically?
I think Taliel is just kind of got like the shocked wide eye, but she realizes that maybe Brilinya has done this because None of them had done anything. So she's hopeful that the Brilinya knows what she's doing and that we'd eventually see her. But she's also going to be very cautious because we have no idea what creatures this mirror has sucked into it. So she is prepared for the next one, if there's a next one.
Vale?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be doing much of anything other than being like shocked. I'd probably look to see if like this Chulton was okay, if they were injured or they needed help or anything to that effect. And yeah, it's basically the only thing I'd be doing. And of course, kind of not really looking at the mirror, but kind of looking at the mirror through my peripheral vision, because I'm not sure if that's the reason how Brill got sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of hoping and hoping and hoping.
Qualu, give me a perception check.
That's going to be 12 plus something. 12 plus 4, 16.
As this Omuan man, he's maybe 5'2". He's got the sort of build of somebody that's used to doing a little bit of physical labor. But he is wearing garb that is similar to the merchants of Port Nyanzaru, but it's very archaic. Like, people don't dress like this in Omu, or not Omu, anywhere. And haven't for a long time.
I think that when he's kind of consoling this crying man, he'll kind of like ask him, "Do you have any family? Where are you from? Where's your home?"
I have family. I had a wife and 2 daughters, but Omu fell just recently, and I got caught up in everything as we were escaping the city. And somehow I wound up trapped in this space. I don't know how long it has been, but I could not sleep. I could not eat or drink or make or anything. It was a constant nothing.
I think that Qualu will kind of like get the dried meats or whatever that we've had from the trip in the road, or rations, and kind of just give him the joy of eating solid food and a sip of his wine / water, whatever he'll take, just to give him the pleasures of sensation again. But he'll turn to the non-Chultans and say in common, hopefully this man doesn't understand them, and actually kind of tell them what's going on about this man. He's kind of a relic from the past, it seems.
He shows no sign that he starts for a moment when you begin speaking in another language, and then just goes back to the water skin and the dried meats. By now, enough time has passed, Brilinya. You feel safe. You say Blackfire 2. Suddenly, Brilinya is standing next to you. You know how lucky you got. I rolled on a D12 and rolled 2. I was like, what? So you suddenly find yourself standing in a room with your friends and a random Chultan man who is drinking from a water skin while simultaneously eating dried meats. And you also have the knowledge of the mirror, and you know at this moment the mirror is in a deactivated state and cannot absorb anyone.
Okay.
You suspect there could be, you know that there are 12 cells in the mirror. But what you don't know is if or how many more people or things are trapped in the mirror.
So Brilinya comes out and she lets out just the biggest sigh of relief of seeing this Chultan instead of, she was so afraid that she'd just unleash some monster. Good. I figured out the mirror.
We were so worried, Collie will say.
We can all look at it. It should be fine now.
And in Chultan, Quali will say to this old man, she's the one who saved you.
He sort of shoves the water skin and, but not the meat, into your hands, Qualu, and suddenly this diminutive Chultan man is grasping at your vestments, Brilinya, and sobbing into your robes, clutching your hand, squeezing it, almost like touching you in a way like he can't believe that you are also real. And being Asimar, he looks upon your face and then turns away, and he actually drops to his knees. And Qualu, you hear him. It is the gods. It is the gods. Umtao sends his angelic beings to protect and to save. Omu will be saved now. Praise be to Umtao.
Yes, praise be to Ubtao. We should get moving on. Are you okay, Brill?
Yeah, but what if there are other people who are stuck, like this man? Are we not going to help them?
How big is the mirror?
It's 4 feet tall and about 2.5 feet wide.
How far from civilization are we in this jungle tomb area? It's really far, isn't it? Like, even if we were to escort these people out.
You are weeks away from Port Nyanzaru. At least a week or more of travel away from Port Nyanzaru, even if you went directly. You are, at this point, you know that you are some 70 or 80 feet below ground with multiple levels of trapped dungeon above you.
Yeah, we flew here from the Aracochrans. That's right. So, yeah.
Brilinya, I understand and I feel the same as you, but there is no way that we can protect a bunch of people down here. Let's do what we need to do. Let's beat this soulmonger, and then we'll come back for this mirror and we'll take it with us.
Brilinya she hesitates for a moment, but then she just nods, and she looks. It is weeks away from the closest place of civilization. He won't make it, not in this state. We should give him some food and some water and put him in that room that's safe. And tell him if we don't come back in however long, then he can leave, but maybe we can take him home then, or bring him home then.
I believe that could work, yeah.
You do know that room, the crawlway, leads to a room with a magical waterfall that is pretty much an endless source of water.
Perfect. So just give him some food, some of our rations, and tell him that if we don't come back in a few days, that he leaves. But we'll come back for him and we'll help him home.
I agree.
Qualu will kind of talk to this man in Chultan and kind of break the bad news as, while we have rescued you from that prison, I fear that we cannot get you out of this tomb.
What do you mean, tomb? He looks around very frightened. This is some kind of tomb. Are we all really dead?
No, none of us are dead. We plan to stay that way. We are on a quest, you see. A great evil lurks deep, deep beneath this place, and we've come to rid the world of this evil. We know of a safe place within this grand structure, a place where you can be safe, a place that we will come back for you and bring you back with us to your family and to your home.
You want to leave me? You rescued me from the mirror, and you want to leave me? Make a persuasion check.
Yeah. Right, Qualu, give that big fat 0 a big roll. Okay, that's gonna be a 5.
Please, no. I will do anything. I will carry your shield. I will hold your bags for you. I will walk ahead of you and make sure the path is safe. Whatever, please don't put me anywhere. Please, please don't. He begins sobbing.
I think upon seeing that, I think Brilinya would look to Qualu and go over to the man and bend down beside him and crouch down and put her hand on his shoulder. And she looks up at Qualu. Can you tell him that it isn't safe for him? The safest place for him to be is where this room that we're going to put him in for now. We're going to lead him to.
Qualu, you can do one of two things. You can roll with advantage for Brilinya's help action, or you can roll your persuasion check using Brilinya's modifier. I was going to say, what's your charisma modifier? Your persuasion modifier?
It's +5.
So it's either advantage or a +5.
Yeah, so I'll be just directly translating for her, I think. So I'll just use Brilinya's roll.
Okay.
Or Brilinya's modifier instead of trying to do it myself. Because, oops, that's off the table. That's gonna be a 19 on the die for 24. Because I'm literally just a translator here, just translating the half sentences that she says to him.
He seems very frightened. His eyes are so wide, you can see the white all the way around. But as you translate, Qualu, he looks up at you, Brilinya. He glances at you, Qualu, understanding that you are the translator now. If you promise that I will be safe, I trust in Ultau. I trust in the protection of the Father Ultau, and I trust in you. I will go to this place, and I will wait for you.
Qualu will remove his wooden magical dinosaur mask, carved by the ancient Chultans, and he'll give this dinosaur mask to this man and say, if you don this, all of your enemies will be scared of you, and nothing will cross your path. It's a gift from me to you to keep you safe. As I give him my thunder lizard mask.
He is completely astonished seeing this gift. You see a slight change in his demeanor as he begins to turn it over in his hands, as he seems to almost be appraising it. This is very fine craftsmanship. Before the fall of Omu, I used to sell handmade things. This is expert workmanship. Are you sure I am to have this?
I am very sure.
Then I thank you. I will go now. You show me to this place, and I will go and wait for you. Will you all escort him, or will one of you escort him, or are you just all going to go back as a...
Qualu will definitely escort him. I think that Qualu would, I guess, in body language, insist that Brilinya comes too.
It's actually not that far away. It's up the stairs and back through the places you already went. So...
I think Taliel would go with them. So, yeah.
There's this moment that Yak just looks over at Vale and says, "So I guess it's just you and me, huh?"
Yay.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take a break right there, and we'll say that during this time you are able to take him, show him the space, show him the water, warn him about not passing through the water, and
Set him up with some blankets and some food.
yeah, you guys got enough of your gear and stuff that you make him comfortable in this little space.
I think that Quali would give him all of his food. Just like Quali would rather starve than see this man starve. So Quali's going to give all of his rations away to this guy.
And I think Brilinya too would get Qualu to translate the importance of not leaving this room under any circumstances, no matter what you hear, and we will be back.
As you emerge from that hallway to go up the stairs, and he looks out over that grand balcony and sees the gargoyle statues, catches a glimpse of the green devil's face, and just the sheer immensity of what he's seeing. You have no worries. I will make this place comfortable. It is better than being trapped in an endless void. So yeah, you set him up perfectly, and then you can head back to where you were. So we'll go ahead and take a quick 10-minute break. Shorter if everybody comes back sooner. And we'll see what happens next. So thanks to everybody who's tuning in with us. Please stick around for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and we will be right back with more Chult of Personality. And we're back. All right, you have successfully brought the old, he's not really old, the Omuan person, and I'll assume that in the time you spent with him getting settled into that safe space, that he told you his name is Atan. And I will drop that in the chat for you. That's A''T''A''N, Etan. Which, Qualu, you would recognize as an older Omuan name. You definitely have learned enough about him that it sounds like he spent at least 100 years trapped in that mirror. And it sounds like he may have experienced every day of that 100 years. So, you are all back. Would you, let me ask you this, instead of assuming this, would you go back to the junction where you chose to go toward the mirror and go the other direction to investigate that? Okay. So, you're back in that T intersection, leaving the now untrapped mirror behind. You travel the length of this hallway heading to the east, and you travel about 65 feet, pushing aside more curtains of these very dry and old cobwebs. Again, more sign that nobody has passed through here. You reach the end, and Taliel, in front of you, you see that a stone slab blocks the end of this corridor. Painted on the slab, in colors that have not faded, is the image of a gaunt male humanoid wearing a hooded cloak. Its entire face is a mask of stars. The figure holds its left hand up, palm facing forward. What would you like to do?
open the door? If it's open?
The way the image is do we recognize that from one of the two statues in the pit, one level up?
You do not. While it is a similar gesture, that figure of the mage god actually had its hand sort of held out like this. This one, it's holding its left hand up like this.
Do you think they're saying stop, don't go this way?
I've not heard of that expression.
I think everyone is meant to keep us out.
Yeah.
Is he holding any number of fingers up, or is it just his?
It's his entire hand held up. He's basically standing more or less like at attention with his elbow pulled in and his hand. It's hard for me in this screen to show it, but he's basically like this.
Mhm.
He's not holding it out like this. It's just a gesture.
Taliel, for really no reason whatsoever, is going to mimic the gesture. So not putting up her left hand, but put up her right. So she's in a mirror image of the gaunt man in front of her.
A fireball shoots out of his eyes. And
You know, when you stand like that, that's actually your right hand that's up. He's holding up his left hand. You're like a reflection of him. I mean, unless that is what you are trying to do. But if you're hoping it's going to open the door, it doesn't look like it's working.
I was trying to be his mirror image, but it was a long shot.
I guess it makes sense. I mean, you guys seem to have a thing for mirrors, at least since I've known you. Or mirrors have a thing for you.
Taliel's going to cautiously reach out and touch the guy's the hand. That's the image's hand.
You feel the stone, the cold stone texture of the stone slab, and you can just make out the difference in the texture where whatever paints were used to paint this figure. Nothing else happens.
Okay, so the fact that I didn't explode or die or do anything, Taliel is a little bit more, or I guess less wary. She's now going to start investigating this entire stone slab, trying to find some sort of mechanism that would open it, that kind of thing.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
That's a nat 1 on the die, so yeah, we're good.
The stone slab with a very intricate painting on it. No handles. And the figure standing there is described.
What if you tried to push on the door?
What if you tried to smash it?
Qualo. So Taliel would try to push the door.
You push against the stone, and it does not budge.
I'm gonna kind of walk beside Taliel. Wait. And I'm gonna place my hand against the figure's hand and try to push.
The stone does not budge.
Those with a shot. Maybe this is just a dead end.
Qualu regrets saying this, but perhaps Yak was right.
Wait, what? Did you actually say that?
No, is I didn't say anything. Did someone else say something? Qualu will kind of like pretend
Qualu-
like he didn't say anything.
Qualu, you hear in Chulton, I heard you, you son of a bitch. Admit it, I was right.
He'll mumble it in Chulton, just so only that Yak can hear it.
Yeah, that's right. I guess in Chulton he wouldn't have an accent. Yak actually has a pretty nice voice when he talks in Chulton. Well, thank you for acknowledging that, Qualu.
So Taliel will then do the pose. Not a mirror image this time, but the actual pose. Replicate it.
Standing with your right hand at your side and your left hand up.
Yeah.
You do so. The entire stone slab slides downward into the floor, revealing that you are at a juncture going left and right, to the north and to the south, respectively. More 5-foot hallways.
We're never going to hear the end of this, are we? She kind of side eyes Yak.
You seem to be operating under the assumption that I am the kind of person that's going to rub it into your face. And this is a fair assumption. Unless you have plenty of gems you want to give me that will stop me from doing this.
Is he blackmailing us?
Look, I just want gems. You've given me so few. I mean, they're very tasty, but look, whatever. You see, you follow Yak's advice, and look, it works. So up here, there's what I'm going to say. And he sort of hovers in front of you into the open space. He looks to his left. He looks to his right. It is very clear that you must go this way or this way.
All right. So Taliel will step in and look both ways. What do we...
The hall extends for 15 feet in either direction, both of which has a slight angled hallway, and beyond that you can't see. When I say slight, I'm talking like a 30-degree angle.
Up or down?
So it'd be sort of back towards the direction you're coming from.
Oh, so kind of like an arrow. Like
so as you're looking at it,
arrow.
as you're looking at the intersection, it goes like this and then like this.
So should we go left or right?
They both look the same to me.
Let's go right.
Eh. Taliel, if you'd like to take point, I'll be behind.
You begin moving through. After 15 feet, moving to your right, the hall does indeed curve slightly for only 10 feet, or angle slightly. And then you are at a right, or excuse me, a right angle, but it's a left turn, which you can see that it goes 5 feet and then angles again back in the other direction. And you can see that the direction you're looking, it sort of splits like a Y.
Taliel turns to Vale. This might be the maze that was indicated in that plaque. Does anybody have a piece of chalk or something?
I'm going to, real quick, just because this is a really weird one to try to explain. If I can get this to work. I'm going to send you in our group chat a screen cap of what you've seen so far.
Yeah.
I think that'll help you. I don't want to dissuade you from using your clever deductions, but...
Brill has that charcoal.
So Taliel asks Brill, can you maybe mark the passages that we are taking?
Yeah,
So
I can do that.
Looking at that, I've revealed to the north and to the south, because they're basically the same thing. Guess what? A mirror image. Ignore that skull icon. Which I know sounds ominous, but it's a suggested placement for something. I don't know why it's on the player's maps, but you are standing at the bottom junction, looking. So where that skull is, that is where it looks like a Y. So you can go further to the north, or you can continue to the east.
Okay, cool. I think we would go east at this point. So
Okay. And Brill, you're making charcoal marks sort of where you were. At the Y intersection, you notice something, though. When you stand there, Taliel, to the side, you just make out about 15 feet or so to the north, where there's a gap. And there's a plinth. And you can just make out something shimmering, something shiny on that plinth to the north.
I see something. Just a second. Maybe you guys can stay here and I'll be right back. I'm just going to go ahead 10 feet or so. And she'll look around that corner.
I'm going to follow.
Okay. So, you find... Where is it? There it is. In this central open space, Taliel and Vale, you see a plinth with a gold crown topped with a glittering black opal resting on this marble pedestal. Vale, you would remember that a certain Fenthaza of the Yuan-Ti had requested that your adventuring party bring her the black opal crown from within the tomb of the 9 gods. It appears as though you may have just found it. Taliel, you do not recognize this as anything but a gold crown with a black opal topping it.
Oh, this is important.
If it's important, it might be trapped.
Well, it's important to us in that we were specifically tasked to get this thing and bring it back.
All right, then. I think we should... So is this little room just like an alcove, so there's nothing else? So it's just this plinth there?
Yeah, that's all there is. You're actually looking around you. You get the sense, looking at... There's just short distances to all these passages. If you were to take the little picture that I sent you and extend it 2 or 3 feet further to the right, you'll see that in the center of that is that crown. Add a mirror image to it, and it looks like this whole area seems to be a very smallish sort of maze, but is actually just a mirror image of itself. It's a what is it called?
Symmetrical?
Symmetrical, thank you. That's the word that was eluding me.
Well, listen, Taliel, if you want to examine it for any sort of small guidelines or something else, I'll pick it up. Well, the rest of us made that deal with the Yuan-Ti. You did not. So if it's trouble, then I'll grab it.
Taliel's not going to stop him if he wants to grab it. She can grab it. But she will like to investigate the plinth that it's sitting on before he does so.
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're rolling real well. So that's a total of 9.
You don't see anything out of the ordinary. It's a marble plinth. The crown seems to just rest atop it. There doesn't seem to be any seams, any wires, or any visible trap mechanism.
It looks safe, Vale.
Out of character, just write that on my epitaph, okay?
It seems safe, Vale.
Vale fail. I'm gonna go ahead and grab it.
You do so. As you reach out and pick up the crown, you feel the weight of it. That this glittering black opal that is atop it seems to give it a little extra weight on the top. Whatever metal it's made of, if it's made of pure gold, you can't quite tell, though you suspect it may. It has a bit of extra weight to it. The opal topping it seems to make it feel a little top heavy. But it seems to, like, you can't even guess at what this thing would be valued at. But knowing that Finthaza, the Nightmare Speaker of the Yuan-Ti, wants it, there's some inherent power to this thing. Also, as you pick it up, you hear from the direction of the door that you came through, you hear... You also hear a similar sound to the north. As the stone sounds as if the stone slab is slammed closed.
Taliel turns to Vale. Oops.
Yeah.
You hear from Brilinya in the distance. What was that?
And I would like you all to roll for initiative.
Oh, well then.
Paul is scratching his head. What's initiative? Is I got a really low number. I'm so distracted by that Chulton man.
I got an 18.
All right, 1 second. I love D&D Beyond. I have so many tabs open. I can get to this information so much quicker than flipping through the pages of the book, which I have at hand if I need it. Let's see. All right, Vale got an 18. Brilinya, what'd you get?
10.
Taliel. 11. Qualu, 3.
3. Yeah.
Vale, you were going to go first. Taliel, second. Brilinya, third. And Qualu, probably fourth, but maybe not. Vale, you hear the sound of the slab that you came through as you pick up this crown. You're pretty confident. It's not that far away. You sort of feel it as well, but you also hear it and feel that same thing from the north a little ways. Let me just check something. You actually, I guess, as you were coming to the crown, you would have glimpsed a little ways to the north that there was a about 20 feet away an open doorway. It would have looked like a continuation of a hallway. But glancing that direction now, you see a sealed stone slab similar, and it appears to have a similar painting on it, though you can't. It's kind of partially obstructed by the wall from this point of view. And why don't you go ahead and make me a perception check?
All right, let me just double check my perception score. Okay. That is a 16.
You hear from somewhere to the east, though it's hard to tell because there's a wall there. Though knowing this area is kind of mirror image, you do see the passage extending to the left and the right. From somewhere echoing down in those directions, you hear Thump. Thump. Like something hitting the floor and something dragging. And it seems to come from both directions.
Well, this is fine. I'll tell the others to form up, and we'll all get in nearby. Draw my rapier. Tell Taliel which direction I heard and what I heard, and then yeah.
Are you readying in action?
Actually, wait a minute. I am going to use one of my abilities, and that is Divine Sense.
There you go. There's the paladin being a paladin.
Hey.
So that tells you within 60 feet, undead, fiends, celestials, whatever, right?
Since anything, affected by the Hallow spell.
And what it tells you is the general from the direction, and it tells you what they are in terms of which of those things they are, but not like their identity.
Correct.
Okay. So from the other side of the wall, directly in front of you, if you faced east, opposite this marble plinth, you sense two undead figures. They seem to be strongly undead.
They're extremely undead.
They seem to have more power than just when you've sensed skeletons or zombies.
Yeah.
So there's something a bit more powerful. There's two of them, and they seem to be splitting up to move in either direction. Go ahead and distribute those. Megan, you have a feature that grants everybody their 11 hit points of temporary HP. So go ahead and add that on your sheet. Yep. Perfect. That's understandable. You guys get so few of those in the tomb. All right. So knowing that, Vale, what do you do?
All right. Yeah. Like I said, I'll just relay the information, and I'll, once the others come up, I'll relay the information as well.
Okay. Taliel, you're next, actually. Make me a perception check. Why don't everybody just go ahead and make that perception check just to see if you can hear that same warning sound.
So perception check was a 25.
Okay.
Qualu got a 6.
Qualo, you hear it.
10.
Yep, you all hear it. I like to think people in the chat are calling them super undead, undead plus, excessively undead. I like to think of them as undead, undeader, and undeadest.
Undeadest. Oh no.
You're sensing undeader. Or I do like yours, Mike, the excessively undead. Yeah, so Taliel, what are you going to do?
I am getting out my shield and longsword and having them ready. Vale, did you say that they were moving towards us, like going to come around the north or south passage, or?
Yeah, they were moving. There was two of them moving in opposite directions, looking to converge on our location.
Okay, so I think Taliel is going to ready her shield and her longsword and go to that north corner passage where where that door used to be, I guess. The one that we hadn't actually checked out yet. And she's going to stand there in that intersection Waiting to
Okay.
see if this thing comes around the corner.
As you get up there, you're looking in the direction to the east, and you see a similar angled corridor, and similar to the opposite corner that you came through. This appears to be a 4-way symmetrical area, and you are readying for something to come within range of you.
Yeah, if that creature comes up, if it manages to like close with me, then I will attack it.
Okay. Brilinya.
So Brilinia's on at that Y intersection because she didn't go up to the plinth.
Okay.
So she sees Taliel run up to that intersection, or run up to that intersection that's like kind of kitty corner. So Brilinya is going to run along the bottom as far as she can to get to that far corner.
Okay. What's your movement?
30 feet, yeah.
Okay. You can get all the way to the corner. And you can actually go another 5 feet around the corner if you want.
She's going to look first, see if she can see anything, and then she would move the 5 feet.
You see 2 shambling shapes shrouded in tattered cloaks. They seem to be very low to the ground, but in the process of rising up. You see putrefied flesh, greenish, grayish, reaching out, scrabbling towards the stone tile, yellow, caked and cracked nails, reaching, dragging, cracking, and breaking until it finds a grout line, and you hear this, and one is moving towards you. Though it's in such a downward position that it seems to be looking downward, so you don't see its face. The other one is moving in the opposite direction. You notice that there's appears to be an alcove in that east wall north of you that they seem to have come from.
Okay. How far apart are they?
They're right next to each other. They seem to have just emerged from this alcove and haven't had a chance to move yet.
All right. So, Berlinya's, she immediately sees this and she knows that it's these things are an agent of the tomb, this tomb, and she outstretches her hand and her eyes begin to glow this time, this white bright light. You can almost see the flames in them as she reaches out her hand, and as her hair begins to rise, a huge beam of fire just comes down upon them from the stone above, almost like just this pillar of flame that's like turning around in this tornado-like fashion. And she wants to put it right smack in the middle. It has a 10-foot radius. So she would like to try and catch them both, if possible, in this 10-foot radius.
You can. Okay.
Excellent.
What are you casting?
I'm casting Flame Strike.
Okay.
And they have to make a Dex saving throw.
All right. I'm going to do each one separately. The first one that is just right in front of you, it's a 13, which I believe fails against your spell save DC. The second one gets a 14. So they both fail.
Also fails. So the one, so they are going to take 24 points of fire damage because I get an extra 5 points to fire damage because of my celestial warlockness, and then additionally another 13 points of radiant damage.
So 37 points of damage each.
Yes.
As this flame comes streaking down, and there's this sound of it approaching, the one that's in front of you, its head snaps up, and you see this creature with beady black eyes, jagged yellowed teeth, and impossibly large mouth. Its eyes, though, small, black orbs. You fixate on them as the spell comes crashing down upon them, and I need you to make Constitution saving throw.
It is a nat 1.
Brilinya, as you see this, and as your spell comes down, and you see the fire raining down on these creatures, you find yourself lost in the gaze of this creature. As it blackness begins to fill around the edges of your vision, you see that this creature is a servant of Orcus. Its soul is so far damaged that it has no hope of ever being redeemed. And that is the last thought you have as you fall unconscious. You are at 0 hit points.
So I have a thing where I have that invocation called Gift of the Protectors,
Okay.
which a really long time ago when we were still in Omu, I think, I had this and I wrote down everyone's name.
Oh, wait. Is that's an invocation?
Yes.
Okay.
So it just says a creature. It doesn't say that it can't be yourself. So, and it's the number of names equal to your charisma modifier. Any creature who's on it, who is reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, I magically drop to 1 instead.
This is an invocation. You said it's
it's a UA.
Yeah, it should still be in here.
I don't think so because I had to write it down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember that. So, you see this, you have this thought, and you see your vision shrinking to a pinpoint. You reach out instinctively as you see flames devouring these creatures, not completely destroying them, but doing damage to them. Still, the orbs of its eyes are holding your gaze, and your vision shrinks to a pinpoint. You reach out, you grab the wall, and you slide down a bit, and you gasp, and your vision swims back in. You are weak. You're barely clinging to life. And this creature that almost dragged you to death is 15 feet in front of you. I believe that ends your turn. And it is their turn. But first, Taliel. You're standing at the ready. You hear that sound. In Brilinya, you see that the sound is them dragging their feet, dragging their ragged cloaks dragging along the ground, their slaps of their flesh against the side of the walls, their nails dragging across, digging into grout lines as they pull themselves forward. And you see one of these creatures come around the corner, Taliel, about 15 feet away from you. As it comes into sight of you, you see its eyes staring at you. And I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, that sounds so good. That's a 13.
That is exactly what you needed.
Oh.
So you will only take 14, 25. You will take 13 points of necrotic damage. As this thing, you feel it like it wants to destroy you and absorb you into the nothingness with its gaze. But it does not succeed. Brilinya, you see this creature crawling along the ground, staying low as you are now lower. It is crawling closer and closer to you. Its eyes have not left your eyes. It reaches towards you, stopping mere inches from where you are. Its claws, one of its nails snaps back, and you actually see the tip of the finger break as it catches in the grout. It looks down for a moment, and suddenly its head snaps up, and it stares you in your eyes, and I need you to make another Constitution saving throw.
That is a 14.
A 13?
14.
14, you succeed, so you will take 23, which is 12 points of necrotic damage. Are you resistant to necrotic?
I am.
So you take 6 points of necrotic.
But, I mean, I'm still dead.
You fall unconscious in front of this creature. All right. Qualu, it is your turn.
Pretty sure Qualu is heard and kind of seen the commotion as he kind of like will come around the bend with his staff of striking readied, as his goat-like features, I guess, are accentuated now by holding and brandishing this magical weapon that is, I guess, in a way cursed. He'll try to just clobber this thing that's like sucking the soul out of Brilinya's unconscious form.
What's your movement?
I have a 30 movement.
And were you with Brilinya at that Y intersection?
Yes.
Or did you go?
So yeah.
Okay. You come around the corner just as Brilinya collapses. You see her struggling, and suddenly she falls, and you see this creature just staring at her, this horrific creature. Its mouth, it now turns towards you. And you come around and you start swinging. Go ahead and make your attacks.
All right, this is going to be a bunch of things. As I activate my fighting spirit to give myself a advantage on all my weapon attacks. And then all of these attacks are going to be with my great weapon fighter. So -5 to hit, but plus 10 damage.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be 3 attacks. Right? This is going to be a 17 to hit.
That is going to hit.
A 7 plus 24 to hit.
Yep.
And a 23 to hit.
All 3 will hit.
Perfect.
Qualu comes in. I almost imagine Qualu sort of coming around that corner and pushing off of the wall with one foot to sort of come in with that staff and just start striking at this thing that seems to have knocked Brilinya down.
The first hit is 22 magical bludgeoning. The second hit is 25 magical bludgeoning. And then the third hit is 24 magical bludgeoning. 23, 24, 25.
71.
71 magical bludgeoning. Pow, pow, pow. And if it still stands...
It doesn't. What does it look like as you pummel this thing into further undeath?
I'll with one kind of sweeping blow, I'll kind of knock it off of Brilinya. I'll advance and I'll just bring it over the staff down, and it's kind of like the butt of the spear just ends up like skewering where its skull would be. And it's probably, of course, it still moves after this as an undead creature. And just again, one more sweeping strike will just like slam it, and pinching it into the wall will just like crush it and just like literally split it in half with the force of this. I imagine there's like a weird resounding sounds as this wooden staff just like strikes the stone and the undead. And it kind of rings in a strange magical way.
As your staff rips through it, tearing it asunder, you watch as it becomes incorporeal. Its entire form seems to turn into a black, almost liquid smoke. And it looks as if it's flowing in reverse around to that alcove that you can now see about 15 feet or so to the north. You can't see into it, but to the east is this, to the north on the east wall is this alcove, and this sort of liquid smoke seems to recede backwards into it, and you have destroyed one of these creatures.
Am I within melee of the second?
Because it had gone around the corner, you can't even see it.
Okay, perfect.
It would be, at this point, you can't even see where it was. It would be probably like 50 feet or more away from you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I guess Kalu's ending his turn then. I was tempted to blow my action surge on the next one, but if it's too far away.
Yeah, you'd know that you can't.
That.
You don't have enough speed to get to it in time.
Perfect. I'll kind of just guard, I guess, Brilinya's unconscious body. Hopefully her celestial nature can kind of hop her back into things.
All right, back to Vale. As you've sort of held, you don't see what it is, but you hear something is coming around the corner. You can't quite see what it is. And you would hear a gasp from Taliel just on the other side of this sort of stone column to the north, as something has affected her. What are you going to do? You figure 5, 10, 15, 20, in about 20 feet or so, you can get to where you'd be able to see this thing and possibly engage with it.
Let's see. There was one thing that I was having a look. You know, I'm just gonna go in and make an attack. Gonna round the corner and attack the first little blighter.
So you head up there and you see one of these creatures. And I'm going to have you make your attack. And then I'm going to have you make a Constitution saving throw.
So you're gonna make my attack first?
Yep, you come around the corner. You were sort of already keyed up, having held your action. You come charging in, and you're able to get your attacks off.
Okay. So that first roll is a 17.
That will hit.
And I will use a Divine Smite.
Okay.
At level 1. So that. All right. So the first attack. Okay. So the first thing of damage is going to be the magical piercing damage, which is 11. And
that's 11 with the smite?
No. That's 11 before the radiant damage.
Okay, that's just the piercing damage.
Yeah,
all right.
That's just the piercing damage.
All right, gotcha.
And then it's 9 and 8, 17. 17 points of radiant damage. Because you did mention that you wanted us to...
I want you to break out your damages going forward, because there's so many things that have different kinds of immunities and resistances.
For sure.
Yep. Okay. Do you have multiple attacks?
I do. Did that creature disappear? Or?
It did not.
Okay.
I'm actually... go ahead. Finish out your attack.
Wait. No, you said you wanted me to do an attack and then do a con
yeah.
save?
I want you to do your attack, and then you're going to take because you've come into contact, and as you sort of instinctively, as soon as it's there, you just reach out. You feel almost like Ubtao guiding your hand. Ubtao, a presence that has eluded you since you've entered the tomb. And you can hear in your mind Obalaka gasping, and you just imagine this figure of this creature, this Zorbo, covering its eyes as you lunge with your rapier and strike. And then you look at what you're attacking, and you see these beady orbs of pure darkness. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
That is a 25.
It's almost as if Ubtao flashes a reflection. You imagine, you can almost see this. Ubtao tilting. When you, once upon a time, you had a vision where you were looking at Chult from high above. You were looking over those marshlands where the basin, the Eldani Basin, where the heart of Ubtao was. And you could see the sunlight reflecting in all of the lakes and this wetlands. And just now, you're reminded of that moment. And it's as if Ubtao reaches his mighty hands out and tilts the world and reflects his own radiance and blocks out these black spheres of this creature's eyes. You are unaffected by the initial attack. As the light fades, however,
I do have a second attack, or no?
You do. You will have that.
Okay.
But as the light fades, a combination of witnessing a fraction of this creature's power and seeing the power of Ubtao causes just a synapse to misfire in your mind, and you take 17 points of psychic damage. You basically were on the edge of staring into the abyss and sensing it staring back at you, and your mind couldn't quite handle that. But you reel back from the edge, and
I wanted a dungeon crawl. I didn't want some hardcore nihilism here. Like,
who knew I was going to bring Oppenheimer into Tomb of the Annihilation?
Hey, Mike, here's some Sunday cosmic horror for you. Enjoy.
Wait, this isn't Cthulhu. So, but you do, as you snap back into reality, you feel your rapier in your hand, and you do still have another attack.
All right. And shaking it off, but shaken by it, but just trying to put it out of my head.
Connor's got Taylor Swift going through his head now.
Oh, God. That's a 21 to hit.
That will hit.
Yeah. And so it's going to be 14 points of magical piercing damage and 3 points of radiant damage.
Okay. It still stands. Taliel, you see Vale rush in front of, interceding between you and this creature that did some kind of magical damage to you. And something happened to him, but he hesitated momentarily between his attacks. But he struck out against it, and you can see this thing. It seems as if wisps that weren't there of black liquids like smoke seem to be trailing from it, drifting backwards from the direction it came, but it still clings to its existence. It shifts its gaze just slightly away from Vale, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
That'll be a 21.
Having already experienced a fraction of this thing's power and sensing its connection to Orcus, sensing that this is some kind of perverse, dark undead. You are sort of prepared for it, and you avert your gaze. You don't look into the depths of it. But in averting it, you see the denizens of the 9 hells that Orcus reigns over. Millions of souls tortured throughout eternity by Orcus. And you take 17 points of psychic damage. And then you take your turn.
I think with that, Taliel would let out a shriek, almost of madness, as this is hitting into her head. And brushing past Vale, she's going to slam into this creature and rain down blows upon it. I get 3 attacks, and they are all going to go on this guy. Okay, so we have a 19, a 15, and a dirty 20.
Every one of those is going to attack, or is going to hit. Go ahead and tell me how you destroy this creature.
So it's almost like the fury of whatever she saw is backing her sword, and she slashes across its torso, then slashes down by where its legs are being, and then the final thrust is almost like dead into its gut, as she just lunges forward, skewering this creature, and then it does what it does.
And again, Vale and Taliel, you see as this creature dissipates into a black liquid smoke and begins to recede backwards towards around the corner and towards that alcove.
As my movement, can I follow that?
You absolutely
mist?
can.
Yeah. I wanna
You follow it as it's receding quickly, moving through, and you see a 5-foot deep, 10-foot wide alcove. A 6-foot tall green devil face, its mouth wide open, and nothing but darkness in its mouth. And this is where this black liquid smoke is receding. And it's gone. Brilinya, I need you to make a death saving throw.
There's an 11. So that is a fail.
That is a success. Oh no, because we're meat grinder. That is a fail. Yes, DC 15
Yes.
death saving throws in Chult.
Yes.
Qualu, Brilinya's body lies motionless at your feet.
Qualu has no techniques beyond just field techniques to get someone up from being unconscious. So he'll do his best of seeing that the kind of the commotions died down and hearing the kind of the last grunts and huzzas of Taliel and Vale finishing off the other one. He'll turn his attention to Brilinya and try to do a bit of first aid, or at least, see if she's still alive and if he can do anything to this as he administers a medicine roll.
Give me a medicine check.
That's going to be a 19 on the die for a total of 19.
You look down at Brilinya and you don't see any signs of physical damage. As you're looking over her, you're seeing that as she's lying unconscious, her eyelids are at half mast. Her eyes are rolled back in her head. You see only whites. Looking over and seeing no physical injuries, you're struck. Your limited experience with this is how to bandage wounds, how to triage. And you can think of nothing except suddenly, almost involuntarily, you slap her across the face. Hard. Brilinya, there's a snap of pain distant, where there was only a void, blackness, coldness, a coldness beginning to envelop you. And suddenly you feel this pain, and the coldness loosens its grasp on you, and you are stabilized, though still unconscious. You are now effectively out of combat. Taliel, you stand before this grinning green devil face. Inside its mouth is empty blackness. Vale, if you choose to, you see Taliel rush past you. You can simply look around the corner and see her staring into an alcove. Qualu, you are crouching over the unconscious but now stable Brilinya. What do you do?
So this green devil face, is it stone or is it something that's on top of the stone?
So there's the stone wall, and this green devil face sort of comes out of it as if it's sculpted and placed on top of it. It's 3-dimensional, coming out towards you, 6 feet tall, about 8 feet wide. It's the opening of its mouth is approximately 3 feet in diameter. It is pure, utter blackness, like the eyes of these creatures. Vale, make me a religion check.
Okay, just double check what my religion is because I can't remember. Oh, right. The paladin who knows nothing of religion. Yeah, I don't know. It's not one.
Okay.
I think Taliel, seeing this thing is beyond her comprehension, what to do with it, but seeing that Brilinya is down on the ground, she's going to rush to where Qualu is standing over the body, and I have a healing potion, so I would like to pour that down her throat.
All right, just a standard healing potion?
I also have healing abilities too.
Yes, it is. It's a standard.
You are far enough where you are, you can't quite see. You don't even know yet that Brilinya is down.
Yeah, I think if anything, I would probably call out to Brilinya and Qualu and find out if they're okay.
Yep.
So Qualu would respond with like, "Yeah, Brilinia's down. She's not bleeding, but she's not responding."
Imagine that it's this post battle, very brief battle, but feels longer than it was because each of you seem to have sort of experienced standing at the edge of the pits of the 9 hells, and suddenly everything's just back to normal, and you just hear, Brilinya's down! Brilinya's down! You hear Qualu calling out. You hear Taliel rushing over. Brilinya, you hear these things as faint, echoing sounds. Vale, you rush over as Taliel is tilting Brilinya's head back, pouring a potion bottle into her mouth, and sort of closing her mouth to make sure that it's in there, and it's sort of doing that thing where you sort of massage their throat to help them to swallow. Taliel, go ahead and roll 2d4 plus 2, I think it is. It's funny how sometimes the most basic rules elude you for a moment.
So that's a total of 9.
Brilinya, you take 9 points of healing. Vale, you come around. Are you rushing in with another healing potion?
You take 9 points of healing damage. I will just use my lay on hands ability, and I will use I'll use 40, so heal 40 points of damage.
Brilinya, you come to as you feel the warmth of the healing potion slipping down your throat. And suddenly, Vale, you see Qualu and Taliel. You even see Yak sort of hovering above, looking down. Suddenly, Vale comes in, and all he does is reach out and push aside a few strands of hair. his fingers grazing your forehead. And you feel at Vale's touch a tingling warmth, as if somebody poured warm water over your head, and a surge of energy courses through your body. You don't feel full strength, but you feel much stronger than you did just a moment ago. And suddenly, Brilinya's eyes are open, and she's looking up at all of you.
I think the first thing that Brilinya, I don't think that she can see everyone right away, and she just kind of looks around, and first thing she would say, is everyone okay?
You're fine.
We're
You
all
okay?
right.
We're more worried about how you are.
I'm good now. Thank you. Thank you. Are they gone?
Yeah, I believe so.
Destroyed.
At least for now.
Brilinya, give me a religion check.
That is a 21.
From your subconscious mind, you're briefly taken back to lessons while you were with the Weeping Friars. There's this normally matronly figure known as Sister Enthusa. She's a stout woman, a human, but part of the Weeping Friars nonetheless. And unfortunately, you have to be in her religion classes twice a week for 4 hours. And she drills you, the entire group of acolytes. She drills you on the various types of undead. And this figure of Orcus just seems like so distant and such a non-threat, an ancient threat. Like, why do we even have to learn about this stuff? And you're remembering gazing out the window and seeing things that are happening outside, classmates that are passing by on their break. And there's a sudden a rap across your knuckles. A bamboo cane strikes your hand. Though not as pronounced, there are scars there, barely visible under the red ribbons. And you snap your attention forward as Sister Enthusa says, "As I was saying, a bodak is something that should not be taken lightly. Merely by staring into its eyes, you can gaze into the pits of hell. And in doing so, you risk death." And just like that, you're brought back to where Vale is just sort of pushing wisps of hair aside. And you remember this lesson. You know, you just faced Bodaks. 2 of them. Souls dedicated to the worship of Orcus, so far gone, redemption is nigh impossible, and with a mere gaze, they can kill you outright. And you know this now, because you've experienced it.
I think that, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself for sorry. I think that Brilinya would just kind of mutter under her breath, more to herself than anything else, just, I bet you liked that more than anyone else, Sister Enthusa. You got me. But she would...
Oh, go ahead.
She would just kind of stand.
Brilinya pulls herself weakly, perhaps leaning on Qualu and Taliel and Vale, who are all sort of... Suddenly you become very aware, Brilinya, of how crowded this corner is. rise to your feet. Vale, still clutching. You see it sort of almost, Vale, you just sort of absentmindedly hooked it on to the side of your belt. The black opal crown. Brilinya, you see it. It looks just like the thing that Finthaza described. And you suddenly realize, wait, I heard the sound of the doors closing. You realize whatever this space is, you guys are trapped in it. What are you going to do?
Should we go? We heard 2, right?
Yeah, and Taliel can confirm that there's another door to the north. It was open. It's now closed. And the door that you came through to the west.
And there's painting on the one that's on the north, right?
Yes.
You didn't have time
you
to
didn't
look at
have
it.
time to look at it, but there is a painting.
So as we walk back that way, as we pass that alcove with the devil mask, Taliel would tell them that that's where they went when we struck them down. I don't know if they're gone or if they can come back, but they're there. That's where they went.
All of you would remember, though Taliel, to you, this happened about 4 or 5 days ago. The others, it happened just a couple days ago as well, though Taliel, you've since learned this probably happened about a year ago. When you entered the tomb and you made it through that horrible pit trap, and then that first hallway that was lined with arrow traps, you saw your first green devil face. And its mouth was agape, and in it was a blackness like this. You chose to not mess with it. You knew there was nothing good that could come from this. This looks the same.
Yeah, I think Brilinya would bring up, I don't think I want to follow wherever they're going.
I don't either. I'm just afraid that they'll come back.
I think we have nothing to fear right now. But if we can get some way of getting out of here, that would be wise. Just in case they do decide to come back.
I will keep my ears and eyes peeled for their return. For I was able to crush them with mighty blows of this magical staff. We'll do so again and again, as I watch vigilant over us.
Thank you, Kwalu. And I think Taliel would then continue going towards that north door, the one that we hadn't met.
Kwalu, you're going to stay around by this devil face and just sort of... Is that what you said?
Like stand by it, but
keep it in view.
Or yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just kind of stand to watch it a bit.
So you guys sort of move to the north a bit, and you kind of move where the Kwalu, where the hallway begins to angle a bit, and you can just sort of have this sort of half cover position and still see this devil face from within. And I think Brilinya is probably the only one. Brilinya, what languages do you speak?
Only Celestial, Celestial, Common, and Elvish.
Okay. Make me, Brilinya, at advantage, make me a intelligence check. Or insight, whichever is better for you. Your choice.
They're
both 0.
Insight is worse. Actually, yeah, insight is much better, actually. So that's a 12.
Okay. So, Kwalu, you position yourself. Taliel, you make towards that door that you saw. You head towards the door. and you see the same humanoid figure painted upon it. The mask, the hood, the mask of stars. Except this time, instead of holding his left hand up, palm facing, he holds his right arm up, but his arm is severed at the elbow. What would you like to do? And Vale and Brilinya, you would see this if you go with her.
Maybe just try and do the action again without cutting her forearm off.
Yeah, and Taliel would stand there. She would mimic the picture minus the fact that she actually still has an arm on her right arm.
You do so. Nothing happens.
Oh, no.
Does anyone have any troll heritage that they want to speak about now? They can regenerate their limbs.
Well, before we do this, let's check the other door. Maybe there's a picture painted on the back side of it.
Yak has no arms, maybe he can do it.
I will see what I can do. He stands in front, and you see the skull sort of vibrating a bit, like somebody does when they're concentrating really hard and their head shaking. I tried to imagine having a severed arm and nothing happened. Taliel, you say this and you quickly move over to the other door that you came through. You see the same painting, the same figure, with the mask of stars and the severed right hand. These are the only two doors out of this area. You already know you had to mimic the figure to get into here. It looks like somebody may have to cut off their right arm at the elbow. What would you like to do?
Brilinya immediately, as soon as this realization comes, let me do it. All of you have weapons that you need to wield. I don't.
No. I mean, straight up, no.
Do you not maybe have, like, can cast an illusion of you with no arm? Instead, actually.
I do not. I am not knowledgeable in illusion magic.
I think at this point, she doesn't really know very much, but Taliel remembers that she has Devlin's spell book. So she's going to quickly, I don't know, I guess read through it if she can to find if there's a spell that does illusion.
Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, that's where you found it. Believe it or not, I do most of my DM stuff through memory. So you found Devlin's journal and his spell book. So looking through it, you've paged through pages of arcane sigils and markings. Each one does have, in a series of runes, but also in common written, the following spells: Alarm, Comprehend Languages, Detect Magic, Expeditious Retreat, Identify, Illusory Script, Sleep, Tensor's Floating Disc, Arcane Lock, Cloud of Daggers, Flaming Sphere, Knock, Dispel Magic, and Fireball. Brilinya and Vale, as magic users, you would know that even to attempt to co-opt one of these spells would require hours of diligent copying and would also require magical ink and paper, neither of which you have. And some of these spells are beyond your comprehension. They don't fit into the style of magic that you study, that is inherent to you. As Taliel quickly pulls us out and begins flipping through, thinking, can this help? I would like everybody to make an insight check.
10.
8.
15.
I rolled really good. I guess I have to tell you.
Yeah.
It's 25.
Vale, as you're telling Brilinya no when she instantly volunteers to sever her own arm, you can't help but think about this green devil face and the blackness of its open mouth, its open maw. Something tells you that anything put into that mouth is instantly destroyed. Perhaps it's an option. Maybe. Maybe not. What do you guys want to do?
I mean, we could try and break down the door.
I wouldn't mind reaching through the internet and slapping our dungeon master, but hey, you know. I'm
Kolu always wonders.
Yak's
Always
like,
the doors.
what is a dungeon master? That sounds like that sounds sexy.
When two people love each other very much and they both have a shared safe word.
Right, I know what the safe word is. Yaka beetle.
Get out. Wait, you're hosting the channel, never mind.
Kolu always wonders. Doors are always magically sealed, but never the walls.
But we are in a tomb underground. The walls just lead to feet upon feet of stone and dirt.
Well, not near the walls, they do not.
Brilinya, you know from past experience, having used Ghostly Gaze twice in this dungeon, that where there are no doors, where there are no passages, where there are no rooms, there is feet upon feet of thick, unyielding stone.
Oh, stone. I think Brilinya would say that.
Mysteriously, Brilinya says, ooh, stone.
Oh, no.
This mythological dungeon master's curiosity is piqued.
There is no soil or dirt beyond these walls. I just feel like we're wasting time. Let's just get this.
I have an idea. You have the ability to see through things, yeah?
Yes.
Can you only cast that on yourself, or can you cast it on one of us? Just mechanically speaking, of course.
It's just myself.
It's just her.
Damn it. Oh, that would have been so perfect.
It's not a spell, it's an invocation. That's why.
Dang it. It's too bad, because I had a brilliant idea that was brought low by mechanics. Damn you, wizards!
Kolu wonders if Dunala was with us, he could carve a hole in the stone with his magics, make a passage around the door, but Dunala's not with us anymore. If only one could turn stone to mud, perhaps.
Qualu, make an insight check.
Kolu's just talking over that.
Do it at advantage.
Ooh, Well, I'll turn that 3 into something else. Let's see. Ooh, it's a 9 plus, I think, a 1. Oh, yeah. Yep, big old 10.
You almost hear Dunala's voice in your mind. It is clear the solution. The only solution is to sever her arm. Somebody must cut off their arm. There's a sacrifice that must be made. You know that if Dunala was there, he would probably do it himself.
I think
And
knowing that
I
if-
would say you even imagine Dunala would thrust his arm into the blackness of the open mouth of the green devil.
Oh hell. Okay, fine. Which
Qualu
arm does it
doesn't.
have to be? No, I'll do
Qualu
it.
does it.
No,
Qualu
that's
does
so
it.
stupid. Don't no.
Qualo is the closest to the sphere.
No,
Qualu-
I'm gonna walk out.
Qualu
I'm gonna
does it.
push.
Nope,
I'm
I've already
pushing.
done it.
Nope, pushing Qualu out of the way.
All right, hold
If we
on.
fight
Hold
this-
on.
Okay,
If we fight
Brilinya
over
is
this, we'll
both
Brilinya
sever our
thinks
arms.
she's running too. Like
Talil, you
tripping.
watch as Vale, Brilinya, and Qualu are all fighting over the green devil face. I need all of you to make strength athletics checks.
Uh-huh.
Taliel, you hear in the back of your mind, puny humanoids.
Could I make a case for an acrobatics check for Brilinya to kind of weave her way
Or-
in between them?
I will allow
Brilinya,
it.
you could use your Eldritch Blast to push us out of the way. 'cause you
I
push us
will
10
allow an
feet.
acrobatics check. That goes for anybody. Acrobatics or athletics, whatever you choose to use.
I'm
Mike
using
is
it.
already Mike is already showing victory.
I am.
Better than a 27 there, Mike.
Qualu gets a 27. Brilinya?
26.
Vale?
I got a nat 20, and my athletics is +8.
Oh
my God! 26, 27, and 28. You all begin this sort of scrum at the devil face as you all sort of had this realization at the same moment as Qualu, unbeknownst to himself, was muttering out loud what Dunala would have done. And Vale, you push past the others and you thrust your arm up to the elbow into the open mouth of the green devil face. Vale, I want you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Yeah, right. Why not?
Tamiko
nice.
in the chat says, y'all didn't even rush Embo. That was great.
23.
All right, Vale, you thrust your arm into this pure blackness. You all watch as you're struggling. Taliel, you watch, just like, what are these guys doing? Vale thrusts his arm in, up to the elbow. Vale, for a moment, white hot, intense pain from your fingertips to your elbow. And then you're standing on a cloud overlooking all of Chult. And you feel next to you this presence. It feels simultaneously like an immense godlike presence and like a best friend or a brother. I was beginning to wonder, Vale, if you are going to reach out and act in accordance to my will. But I must admit, I had no doubts. I have to warn you. We're in a vision right now. This is what clerics would call shock. In a moment, you're going to feel some pretty bad shit. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna hurt. Bad. But what you have done, that's pretty cool, man.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm assuming you're Ubtao, or maybe you're just a part of my psyche.
You have to wonder if it's me?
That's fair. I mean, to be fair, I did just stick my arm into something, and I'm probably not getting it back like ever. So there is that. Might not be in my right mind right now, Lord. You know what I mean.
You acted simultaneously out of pure rashness, but also I sense there's a desire to protect your friends.
I have to.
You love them.
Very much.
Some more than others. You can try to hide it from yourself, but you can't hide it from Ubtao.
Well, yeah, but underlying and most important, it's admiration. Admiration for all of them. And what sort of a person would I be if I didn't, well, try my best to make sure that they'll be okay.
Vale, know this. It was no mistake when you found that talisman so long ago in that pile of what you thought was junk. It was fate. I left it for you. You merely had to discover it and pick it up. You did. Everything you have done, though, since then, has been by your own choice. If ever I had any doubts that you were worthy of the title of Chosen One, what I believe your companion Dunola, before his untimely demise, referred to as Ubtao Jesus. Though I don't know who
that is. But...
I don't know who this Jesus figure is, but
no.
This has been mostly your will. You have been acting in my honor, and in a moment, I'm not going to lie, it is going to hurt like a son of a bitch. But know this. One, you are close. Closer than ever before. All of these months that you have been toiling is coming near to an end. And your faithful companion, the one who has not presented itself since you entered this tomb, Moyo.
I miss her.
You are close to being reunited.
Oh, good.
With your sacrifice on the other side of this door, look carefully for what seems like just a wall. Sometimes holds more. He reaches out with a finger that is simultaneously bigger than is comprehensible, and also like that of a kind grandfatherly figure. He touches you on your forehead, and instantly, white-hot pain floods your vision. Floods your senses. Brilinya, Qualu, Taliel, you hear Yak. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, there's so much blood! As Vale pulls back, and from the elbow down, nothing is there. You see bone, you see muscle, you see nerves and vessels, and blood is spraying everywhere. and you hear this almost inhuman sound as Vale screams in pain involuntarily.
Ow.
Dick.
Well, I'm not going to scream in my condo. I think we've got laws. We've got rules against that.
Vale has sacrificed himself. His
Probably
arm.
passed out. I mean, I'm not going to roll for it. I passed out.
Okay. Vale falls unconscious.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't care how tough you are, but if your arm gets like basically like torn apart by some void abyss thing, you're going to pass out.
The question is, which arm did you stick in?
The correct one.
Okay.
Both.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer. It was your right arm.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I
So
think immediately Brilinya would rush over to tend to the wound.
I'm going to say, Vale, I do want you to make, at disadvantage, I want you to make a Constitution saving throw.
If failing means I vomit, I'm fine with that. I mean,
It's not.
Okay. Constitution save is my God, this die is so great. It's a natural 16 plus the 9. So a lot. You know what? A lot.
Okay, so you take 6 points of psychic damage, and you take 6 points of severed arm damage. Whatever that falls under, from that. So you take a total of 12 points of damage as you fall unconscious. Brilinya, what are you doing?
She is going to tend, cauterizing the wound with flame spells.
With healing light.
With healing light and
Very quickly, Vale collapses back into your arms, and you use your magics. You cauterize the wound, instantly stopping the bleeding. Vale's blood is dripping from the devil mouth. Vale's blood is sprayed on you a bit, and on the walls. Vale has sacrificed his arm, knowing that it is probably the only way out of this place. And that is where we are going to end tonight's session. That was... wow.
Man, that trap really disarmed us, didn't it?
You dick.
I hate you. Die.
That was... I was looking forward to that. I'm not going to lie. Because I wanted to know who was going to do it.
I have to know. And you don't have to tell us exactly how, but is there a way to get past it without doing it?
So, no.
Okay.
No, this is one of those areas that is I love it within the just in general. For a D&D thing, I use something similar in Absolute Tabletops, Oath of the Frozen King, where you have to, in order to gain a sword, there's a severed hand attached to it, and I made my players decide who was going to sever their own hand to fuse with the hand that was grasping the sword. And if I remember correctly, it was Dave, Mordblade Gaming, that made that decision. And you can see that game on youtube.com/minidomain. It's Oath of the Frozen King. But I believe that is just a great puzzle in general in D&D to force a sacrifice like that. But within the confines of this tomb, it's very fitting. There's 2 doors. They both have the same exit painting. You already know that you had to emulate the painting to get out. And you know the only way you're getting out of here. So basically, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know this, had your investigation checks been a little better, you would have discovered that these doors are sealed so tightly, even if you had the ability to transmute into a gaseous form, you could not pass through. There is no other way out of this room other than somebody to sacrifice their right arm. And now Vale's going to have to deal with the consequences of having chosen to sever his right arm. Is Vale right-handed or left-handed?
Ambidextrous?
Imagine he's like the fencer in Princess Bride. It's like, you thought I was left-handed, but I'm actually right-handed.
The truth is, I am not left-handed either.
I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I would say that, like, perhaps when I get much higher in level or become like at one with Ubtau's good graces, I could have like a permanent, cool-looking skeletal vine arm. But until then, yeah.
Cajun Kevin says he's left-handed now.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much it.
That's extremely accurate.
I really like this session. I just really liked it.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've incorporated some backstory elements and the dream stuff, and for those of you wondering, Sister Enthusa was created as her name came out of my mouth. That whole scene was completely ad-libbed, but I thought it was a fun way to sort of portray the results of the history lesson. We know Brilinya has a rich history with the Weeping Friars and Brother Mateus, and now Sister Enthusa and others. I don't know. I really like this session. What seems so simple, and the fact that you guys went up against 2 Bodaks, and they have the ability to drop you to 0 hit points with a look. That could have gone a lot worse than it did. Thankful to to Qualu, Vale, and Taliel for their ability at 12th level to deal some serious damage. But yeah, that's just the beginning. You went down one hallway in level 4, the Chambers of Horror. Next Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern will be our 60th session in over 2 years of playing Tomb of Annihilation. Every episode, it blows my mind how long we've been playing this. I know for me, and I think for a couple others, this is the longest running campaign I've ever been a part of. I think that's something like an average of maybe like 150 to 160 hours of gameplay. So with that, huge thank you to everybody in the chat that joined us. I know I saw a few. There were a few people that hosted us. I think the last channel that hosted us was the Crafting Muse. So I appreciate that. That's our friend V, who plays in our Dawnbringers campaign on Thursdays with Megan and I. And a lot of our usuals in chat. Thank you to What You Looking At, our first ever subscriber to Mini Terrain Domain, who resubbed for 24 months in a row. You too can subscribe to the channel and add. I think we're like 7 or 8 away from our next emote. But if you liked what you saw tonight, you can tune in on Monday nights for All That Glitters, the Tomb of Annihilation. All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, DM'd by Mr. Mike the Piper, and featuring myself as I am the Tabaxi Bard, the 6 days until summer, and Brilinya, Megan playing. Berlinia's not there. Megan is playing Anna the Rogue, and we also have Dwight and Cassie joining us as well. We are taking a break this Tuesday from our Legends and Legacies campaign that normally features myself and Kaeryn, along with some other amazing role players. And on Alt Tuesdays, you can find Kaeryn and Connor and Megan and I over on Dice on Ice playing Curse of Strahd, DM'd by Megan. And then on the 2nd and 4th, I believe it is, Wednesdays of the month. Megan produces, Connor GM, Spire, The City Must Fall, our only non-D&D game going on the channel. Thursdays, as we've already mentioned, is our Dawnbringers campaign, where Megan once again is joining us, and I run that game. And then on Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, you can tune in to see Alan from Check for Traps, CFT RPG, running his own Curse of Strahd campaign featuring Tamiko, who was hanging out in the chat all throughout this game, along with several other fantastic role players. That is at 10 p.m. Eastern every Friday night. Starting in February on Friday nights preceding that game from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/miniterrain domain. Join me for a brand new series of live crafting where 3 to 4 Fridays a month, I will be live crafting for 2 hours, teaching you some basic techniques, showing you what I'm working on, painting miniatures, all of that stuff live, interacting with the chat. I would be remiss if I didn't say a tremendous thank you to these amazing players, Mike, Kaeryn, Megan, and Connor, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for 3 hours, and that would be weird. So thank you guys. You guys bring so much to this game. Your characters are amazing, and I love playing with you guys each week. And I love you guys. We're going to go ahead, and we're going to end the stream. And we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want to.